Okay, so we've got these excerpts, right, from Conversaciones con mi hija.
Mm.
And it's really just a father talking to his daughter
Right.
over 7 days, just kind of reflecting
Mm.
on life.
Yeah.
And what's so cool is that like so many of these thoughts apply
Yeah.
to everyone really.
Absolutely.
And I thought we could just kind of go through and
Yeah.
unpack some of the wisdom here
Sounds great.
and see what we can find.
Yeah.
So the first day, he's really just talking about life itself,
Right.
like the journey of life,
Mhm.
and he says it's full of highs and lows, right? And
Yeah.
and that we can learn from every experience. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's interesting that he doesn't shy away from the negative parts. You know,
Yeah.
he's not pretending that life is all sunshine and roses.
Right.
He's acknowledging that there will be those difficult periods, and even
Sure.
framing them as opportunities for growth.
Yeah, yeah. It's not just about the good times.
Right.
It's about learning from everything.
Exactly, and I think that sets a really realistic tone for the rest of the reflections.
Yeah.
Because he's not coming from a place of, uh, trying to paint this idealistic picture.
Right.
He's being really honest and saying, hey, there will be tough times,
Right.
but you know what? They are going to be part of your journey and you're going to learn from them.
Yeah. And so how do you think we're bombarded by advice all the time. Like
Well,
how do you think he suggests that we find our own path?
well, he talks about listening to your inner voice
Right.
and trusting your instincts,
Right.
which is a lot easier said than done.
Right.
I mean, we're constantly being told what to do, what to think, how to live our lives.
Yeah.
And it can be really hard to sift through all of that noise and figure out what truly resonates with us.
Right.
I think what he's getting at is this idea of introspection
Mm-hmm.
and really taking the time uh, to listen to yourself, to observe your reactions,
Mm-hmm. Right.
to your own values,
Yeah.
and not necessarily just blindly following what everyone else is doing.
And it's not just like sitting on a mountaintop and waiting for,
Right.
an epiphany. It's like an active.
Yeah, it's an active process.
Yeah.
You have to really put in the effort to listen to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And he even says like, sometimes you feel lost,
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay to feel lost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a very human experience
Yeah.
to feel lost at some point in your life.
Yeah, and maybe even that's like a necessary,
Yeah, maybe it's a necessary step.
yeah, to
Yeah.
to find your way.
Right, to kind of shake things up and
Yeah.
and realize that you need to make a change.
Yeah. And ultimately, like he says, life is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to appreciate the present moment.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's a recurring theme in a lot of wisdom traditions, right?
Yeah.
The idea of being present, being mindful,
Yeah.
and appreciating what we have right now
Yeah. Yeah. It's so easy to get caught up. Right.
in the past
Yeah.
or the future,
Yeah.
and just forget to
Well,
appreciate
it's-
what we have.
Exactly. And when we're so focused on the past or the future, we're missing out on the beauty of what's happening right now.
Right, right.
And the present moment is really all we have.
Yeah.
We can't change the past,
Right.
and the future is uncertain.
Yeah.
So all we have is this moment.
Yeah, and so he moves on to day two, and that's all about family.
Mm-hmm.
And and it's not this like perfect Hallmark card
Right.
view of family.
Yeah. No, he gets real about it.
Yeah.
He uses this great analogy of a garden.
Right.
Beautiful flowers and necessary weeds.
Yeah.
And I think that's so powerful because it acknowledges that family relationships are complex.
Yeah.
They're not always easy.
Yeah.
There's going to be beauty, there's going to be love, there's going to be connection,
Yeah.
but there's also going to be challenges, disagreements, maybe even pain.
Right.
And he's saying that that's okay. Yeah, it's not a failure.
No, it's not a failure.
It's part of it.
It's part of the natural ecosystem of a family.
Yeah, and he even calls the weeds necessary.
Right.
Like, what do you think he's saying with that?
Well, I think he's suggesting that those challenges, those difficult moments,
Yeah.
they're actually opportunities for growth
Mm-hmm.
within the family unit.
Yeah.
Maybe they force us to develop patience,
Mm-hmm.
understanding forgiveness.
Right.
They teach us how to communicate better,
Yeah.
how to set boundaries.
Right.
And ultimately, maybe they even help us appreciate the good times even more,
Right. Right.
when you contrast them with the challenges.
Yeah, and he also talks about this feeling of not fitting in to
Yeah.
your family.
Right.
And I think that's a really common experience.
Absolutely.
Like how can you hold on to your individuality when you feel that way?
Well, I think he's encouraging us to embrace our uniqueness,
Yeah.
to recognize that everyone in a family is different.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Right.
It's actually what makes a family interesting and dynamic.
Yeah.
It's about finding your own sense of worth
Yeah.
and contribution within the family,
Right.
even if it's different from what other family members are doing.
Yeah.
And maybe seeking connection in the ways that feel most authentic to you.
Right. Right.
You don't have to force yourself to be someone you're not.
So then we move on to day 3,
Yeah.
and it's all about friendship.
Right.
And again, he has this great analogy.
He loves his analogies.
Yeah.
He does.
He says, good friends are like elevators, right? They
Yeah.
lift you up.
Yeah.
And bad friends are like shadows
Right.
that darken your path.
Yeah.
What do you think makes someone an elevator friend?
Well, I think it's about more than just being a good listener.
Yeah.
It's about actively supporting your growth, encouraging your aspirations,
Yeah.
offering honest feedback,
Yeah.
even when it's tough to hear. They're the people who celebrate your successes
Yeah.
and offer comfort during setbacks.
Right.
You know, they're there for you through thick and thin.
And what about those shadow friends?
Yeah, those are the ones to watch out for.
Yeah.
They can really hold you back,
Yeah.
sometimes in very subtle ways.
Yeah.
They might undermine your confidence, discourage your ambitions,
Right.
or even just create unnecessary drama
Yeah.
and conflict in your life.
Right.
They might leave you feeling drained or worse after spending time with them.
Yeah, and he even talks about like betrayals
Right.
with friends, like really painful experiences.
Mhm.
But he says not to let those experiences harden your heart.
Right.
Like why is forgiveness so important in friendship?
Well, I think he's saying that holding on to anger and resentment, it ultimately hurts you more than it hurts the other person.
Right.
Forgiveness is about releasing those negative emotions so that you can move on
Right.
and not be weighed down by the past.
Yeah. Yeah. So then on day 4, he shifts to work.
Okay.
And he says, work shouldn't just be about the money.
Right.
It should be about finding happiness and fulfillment.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Because so many people are stuck in jobs that they hate
Right.
just because they feel like they need the money.
Right.
But he's saying that there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
You should be looking for something that brings you joy
Right.
and makes you feel like you're contributing something meaningful.
Yeah, like you're not just going through the motions. You're actually engaged.
Yeah, you're using your talents.
Yeah.
You're making a difference.
And he says, don't be afraid to change course
Right.
if you're not happy.
Yeah, that's a really important point
Yeah.
because a lot of people are afraid to leave their comfort zone
Right.
or they're afraid of failure.
Yeah.
But he's saying that it's okay to experiment,
Right.
to try different things,
Yeah.
and to not be afraid to start over if you need to.
And that's so hard to do, right?
It is hard,
Yeah.
but I think it's essential for finding true fulfillment in your work.
Yeah. And so on day 5, he talks about love.
Okay.
And he really broadens the definition.
Mhm.
He doesn't just talk about romantic love. He
No.
talks about love as like this force that
Yeah.
connects us
Yeah.
to all people, living beings, nature.
Yeah. I think that's a really beautiful way of looking at it. It's not just this limited,
Yeah.
romantic feeling.
Yeah.
It's something much bigger.
Yeah.
It's this universal energy
Yeah.
that connects us all.
Yeah. And so what do you think is the significance of taking such a broad view of love?
Well, I think it fosters compassion,
Yeah.
empathy.
Mm-hmm.
It helps us see our interconnectedness
Yeah.
with the world around us.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that we're all part of something bigger than ourselves.
And when he does talk about romantic love,
Mm.
he says, be selective.
Yeah.
Find someone who really values you
Yeah.
and respects you
Mm.
for who you are.
Right.
Like, why is that so important?
Because I think that's the foundation of a healthy and lasting relationship.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel truly seen and accepted for who you are,
Yeah.
it allows you to be vulnerable,
Right.
to grow together,
Yeah.
and to build a strong connection based on authenticity,
Right.
not on pretense.
Yeah. And he even says, like, you should be natural. you
Yeah.
know? Don't put on a facade
Right.
because that's not going to lead to a genuine connection.
Yeah, if you're pretending to be someone you're not,
Yeah.
you're going to attract someone who's drawn to that facade,
Right.
not to the real you.
Right.
And that's not going to be a fulfilling relationship in the long run.
Right. right. And then on day 6, he talks about navigating difficult times,
Mm-hmm.
and he's really optimistic.
Yeah, he is.
You know, he's not denying that there's negativity,
Right.
but he's saying that these can be times of change,
Mm.
and they can bring new opportunities.
Yeah. I think that's a really important perspective.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get bogged down in the negativity
Right.
when things are tough.
Yeah.
But he's reminding us that there's always hope
Yeah.
and that even difficult experiences can lead to positive outcomes.
Yeah. Yeah. And he even says that optimism
Mm.
is about certainty
Right.
in our ability to overcome challenges.
It's not just blind faith.
Yeah.
It's about believing in yourself
Right.
and your ability to get through tough times.
Yeah. Yeah. And how do you think we can cultivate that kind of grounded optimism?
Well, I think it's about focusing on your past successes,
Yeah.
remembering times when you've overcome challenges,
Yeah.
and realizing that you have the strength and resilience
Yeah.
to do it again.
Yeah. And he also mentions that, like, we have the power to create our own reality
Right.
through our thoughts, words, and actions.
Yeah. That's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
And I think it's about recognizing that even in difficult circumstances,
Yeah.
we still have a choice.
Yeah.
We can choose how we respond.
Right.
We can choose our mindset.
Yeah.
And we can choose the actions that we take. And those choices will shape our experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And so finally, on day 7, he gets into spirituality. And he takes a very personal approach.
It does.
He says, you know, the connection with the divine is ultimately an intimate experience.
Right.
Like, why do you think he emphasizes the individual connection?
Well, I think he's recognizing that everyone's spiritual journey is unique.
Mm-hmm.
And that while institutions and organized religion
Yeah.
can offer guidance and community,
Yeah.
the ultimate connection with something larger than yourself
Yeah.
is something that happens within.
Right.
It's a personal experience.
Yeah. And he says, you know, don't let anyone dictate your beliefs
Yeah.
or your values.
Right.
Like, how can someone develop that inner sense of knowing?
Well, I think it's about paying attention to your intuition,
Yeah.
your conscience,
Mm-hmm.
and really trying to align your actions
Yeah.
with what you deeply believe to be right.
Yeah.
It's not about blindly following someone else's rules.
Right.
It's about developing your own moral compass.
Right. Right. And so we've gone through all 7 days.
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the key takeaways that really stand out to you?
Well, I think the image of the family as a garden is really powerful,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with both the flowers and the weeds.
Yeah.
And then I think the distinction between the friends who lift you up
Yeah.
and the ones who bring you down,
Yeah.
that's really important.
Yeah.
And then also the idea that work shouldn't just be about money.
Right.
It should be about finding something that makes you feel alive.
Yeah.
And then also the idea that love is this connecting force
Mm-hmm.
and that we have the power to create our own reality.
Yeah.
And that there's this inner divine spark within each of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And these aren't like definitive answers, right?
No, they're just starting points.
Yeah.
They're invitations to think more deeply about these things.
Yeah.
To explore them in your own life.
Yeah. So as you go about your day, you know,
Yeah.
think about which of these reflections really resonates with you
Mhm.
right now.
Yeah.
And what's one small way you can maybe explore that
Yeah.
or apply it
Yeah.
in your life?
Absolutely.
It's just a thought to carry with you.
Yeah, a great thought.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
My pleasure.